little bit of a high introduction for you first, in case some of you have never heard of CoalMax or CoalPhoenix before. So basically, what we have is a very cool technology for cleaning up after coal plants. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the second biggest waste stream on planet Earth is actually coal ash from the coal industry. And right now there's more than 1,200 coal plants spewing out coal ash in China. There's 230 still running in the US, and there's India, Brazil, Germany, everywhere. And there's a lot of coal ash being spewed out. So we've been sitting and developing this technology for quite a few years, and we've had some different application areas we looked into. But on so I'm getting a lot of pings on my computer. Is that possible to mute, Riley? Or yeah.
I'm not sure if you can or not. Hold
okay,
on.
I'll just go.
Sounds good.
So basically, yeah, back to the story. We have a massive problem. Right now, there's an energy crisis, there's a global climate change crisis, there's pollution crisis, there's a lot of different crises going on. But what's for sure is that we need energy, and we need energy to clean up, and we need energy to live, and we need energy to get moving forward with our planet. And we're going to have the energy mix we have today for a long time still to come. So that means that coal is going to be in play for many more years. So with that pitch, we and the team, we decided that we need to see if there's any possibility we can do anything about the huge waste streams coming from the coal industry. Is there any way we can help the coal industry make money of their toxic waste? Basically, that was the hypothesis. So we started looking into that, and we saw that we did some very thorough analysis of a lot of coal ash from different parts of the world. And what we basically found is that there's a lot of valuable stuff in the coal ash itself. But since it's been through this really, really rough process through the coal burning in the power plant, it's almost impossible to extract these valuables. So there's somebody with the chirping nice bird sound in the background here, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just muted him real quick.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, so there's a lot of valuables in the coal ash. It's the second biggest waste stream in the world, and we wanted to see, is there any way we could get access to that valuable part of the waste stream? So we've been testing and trying different ways and different methods in labs for a long time, and finally we had a breakthrough. Because, and this becomes a little bit technical, but bear with me for a second. What happens is when you pull coal up of the ground and you put it into the coal power plant, it's get exposed to a massive amount of heat. Now what that happens again is that you burn stuff, and when the coal ash transports through the burning process, what happens is that you actually create some atomic bonds which are way, way harder than even diamond. So all of this valuable stuff in the coal ash is actually capsulated into this glass thing, which is almost impossible to break. So what we've been working on is trying to figure out an economic, environmental friendly, and cost-efficient way to break this glass so we can get out the valuables from inside. And we succeeded. We succeeded in the lab. We've seen amazing results, and we see that in a very cost-efficient, environmental friendly way, we can break these bonds and we can pull out the valuables. So what does that mean? Well, basically what it means is that if you analyze a coal ash pile today, you'll find that there's mainly three big fractions in that pile. We have something we call silica sand, which is basically a very, very nice sand you can use to make glass structures and everything like that. And then we also have iron oxide, which is very, very popular in many industries for a huge variety of different purposes. And then we have what we like to call the holy grail, which is alumina. So what is alumina? Well, it's basically the... Okay, guys, sorry, I gotta stop that. I got a crazy dog barking at my door. I locked the door to the office. Hold on 1 second.
Good.
Okay, just to show you it wasn't an excuse, here he is. It just keeps barking.
Nice.
Okay, that's that was my personal 10 seconds, but yeah. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, well, basically three main valuable streams from the coal ash. It's silica sand, which we can use to make glass. It's iron oxide used in a lot of industries. And it's the number three, the holy grail, which is alumina. So what's alumina? Well, that's the raw material you basically use to create aluminium. Now, you have aluminium pretty much everywhere these days in our modern societies. But what you probably don't know is how aluminium is made today. So you can wind back. We have aluminium, which comes from alumina, which then comes from a different source than where we're harvesting, called bauxite. Now, bauxite mines in Brazil and Australia and a couple other places in the world are highly toxic, environmentally massively disastrous, and they ruin a lot of very precious nature. Okay, so you guys with me now? There's a huge story trying to compact into one thing now. So we have then basically something cool going on. We have a pretty simple technology, I like to say, which is cost competitive. It's simple to scale up. It's environmental friendly, and it solves one of the biggest problems on Earth today, namely coal ash. And coal ash, as probably some of you know who's familiar with coal, is extremely toxic. It creates cancer when it pours into our our waterways, and it's extremely toxic. So yeah, that was my coal storm coming in. Basically, what we saw is that, okay, we have the technology, we've figured a cool way to solve a big, massive problem. What do we do next? Well, at least in my experience, what you don't want to do is tell big corporations what you have. Because there's a lot of powerful corporations out there today that would hate to see us succeed. Why? Because basically they're making a lot of money on either the toxic setup for creating alumina through bauxite mining, or you have other industries which are dependent that the coal industry keeps spewing out coal ash and use it for landfills and everything. So we started looking into how can you set up a very cool environmental friendly technology that is going to be disruptive, and make sure that this technology is not taken out of play by big corporations. Well, to me, that answer is pretty clear, and that's the crypto space. I've been in the crypto space for a few years now, not that long. I'm still a noob, but what I've seen are some extremely cool cases of crowdfunding on a new platform with a lot of people taking part in value creation. And you're actually able to disperse the value in a far better way than any other methods or instruments have managed to do in the past. And that's exactly what we want to achieve. We want to give this technology to communities who are struggling today with coal ash toxic waste. We want to deploy this technology and make sure that people can not just clean up their environment, but they can actually create a business for themselves where they make money from this. And to me, the best tool to do that is you partner up with disruptive technology and crypto in a crowdfunding structure, preferably in a DAO structure where you have decentralized decision making. And basically, yeah, the Wolfpack turned out to be the spot where we wanted to go. So yeah, I'm sure you can feel that I get quite passionate when I start speaking about this, because this is a big deal for me. I'll give you a few highlights of my story so far. I'm an engineer by education, but I guess I'm a salesperson and business developer by nature. I've been traveling the world for far too many years with the oil and gas industry, doing all the wrong things in the wrong places, and basically accumulating a really bad consciousness. So I'm very passionate about bringing forth new technologies that will make a massive impact on the environment and help create better communities. All right, that was a lot in a short time, and I hope you got like 10 to 15% of it, but I want to open up for questions, and if there's detailed questions, don't hesitate. I can pull up. I'll give you a sneak preview of the deck you'll probably get later, the white paper. But so yeah, feel free, fire at will.
Cool. So real quick, because I think one or two people hopped on to kind of sum things up. Like we said before, the CoalPhoenix project is one of the first to go through the certification, launchpad, and insurance parts of the DAO. And the project is mainly focused on going into these coal ash sites and extracting different materials out of the coal ash and basically selling those for profit. But at the same time, cleaning up those coal ash sites are huge environmental problems.
Thanks, Riley. And I forgot to mention one thing. I guess that's probably the most important thing for you guys as well. And that's how will the DAO take part in CoalMax? So CoalPhoenix, that's the name of the DAO we've set up. Now this is where you can buy in. The CoalPhoenix DAO has an exclusive right to 10% of the net revenue of everything generated from the first plant, the first site we're setting up with CoalMax. And we're expecting some pretty decent numbers coming from this. I don't know, Truls, should we give them like a small teaser, like in a ballpark range, what we're looking at potentially on revenue streams from the first plant, or too early?
Yeah, I don't know if we should maybe keep that a little bit longer, but it's significant. I can say that much. And we are also been very cautious in the way we have estimated, and so there's a lot of upside potential as well, due to the fact that we actually believe we're going to find more valuables in the coal ash than we are predicting in the white paper. So that's something to take into consideration as well.
So I mean,
if you feel you want to show something, Ketil, just go ahead. It's your call there.
I mean, the figures are pretty cool, and this is something that makes us really excited because, in my experience, if you want to make a technology green and create a green economy, it has to be the best bang for the buck, like I say. So it has to be able to outcompete the existing technologies which are not environmental friendly today. So that means that it's been very important for us to do the thorough business case review on this and see that will we be able to sell this alumina, silica sand, and iron oxide, which we harvest, to a good buck. And basically right now, I mean, the alumina market price per ton is coming in at, probably dropped a little bit now, but $350 per ton. For the silica sand, depending on how fine it is, how refined it is, it can range anywhere from $50 per ton to $350 per ton. And then you have a pretty cool, exciting thing with the last stream, which is the iron oxide, and that can actually sell for $680 per ton to $890, $900 even US dollar per ton. So that's what we've seen, is that the competing ways to produce these material streams are extremely expensive. So when we can do this cheap, it's going to give us quite a decent sum of money. And just to give you a perspective of things, when we process 1 ton of coal ash, we have a cost of $75 US. So
at the most.
at the most.
Yeah. If I can say something, Kjetil, as well, when it comes to the marketplace, maybe all the listeners are not maybe familiar with. The market is, so to speak, there at all times. These are huge commodity markets, so we are not going to kind of compete by selling alumina in another way than the others are doing. This is like going on stream with an oil producing company. The market is massive, it's there. So what we do, we're just bringing a new technology which lower the price of producing what we are selling. So I mean, the market will always be there. The only thing what will change is the actual price we'll achieve from day to day or week, or it's probably sold month by month. But anyway, yeah. which is an important point. We're not bringing something new to the market. Well, the technology is new, but the market is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's huge commodity markets which already exists.
So I couldn't help it. I want to share a screen anyway. Do you guys see my screen now, or did it come up? Okay, hold on. I'll go again. It didn't like that. It's first. Okay. Anyways, then I'm not supposed to share anything right now. Then I guess.
Okay.
Okay. So questions.
Hey, great. You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
I'm
you
so
now.
excited about this. You know that I'm not going to be able to refrain from asking a couple quick questions. Hey, so on our call from the beginning of June, Patrick had brought up what I thought was a very thoughtful comment about some safety and with Illumina, and you had spoke about obviously dealing with an American company that's has that under control. And I was assuming, is that Alcoa that you're speaking of, or was it someone besides Alcoa?
No, we've looked into Alcoa as well. Yeah.
Okay. And then without divulging the numbers, and your screen share won't allow you, which I think is good karma. We'll save it for a surprise later.
Yeah.
Is this first site, it will be a super site? Yes? Yeah. No? Yeah. Did you have any kind of thought as far as trains within maybe 1, 3, and 5 years of what that might look like?
So the target site we're looking for now, and that's why I'm doing my road trip in the coal country next like a week from now, is going to be a super site, because from a financial perspective, it makes a lot of sense for us to put up the first site as a super site. Now, for those of you who don't know that, a super site is where we deploy multiple trains, processing trains after each other. And the reason why that makes sense is that we have a lot of equipment in the back end of the process and in the front end of the process, which can basically facilitate a lot of different main processing units. So basically we have like a crusher going in, which can serve like at least 5 main processing trains. And then we have packaging, dry air, and everything in the back end as well. So the first site is definitely a super site. It's a cost perspective, makes sense. It also makes a lot of sense with regards to manning and staffing. We need a lot less people if we can run multiple trains at one site, rather than have 2 or 3 trains at many sites. And when I talk about a train, one train can process 5 tons of coal ash an hour. So we plan to have multiple of these next to each other. And I'm hoping that we'll identify the best site to deploy the first project on in a very few weeks. And I'm hoping that in a 2 to 3 year perspective, we'll have 10 trains there. What's fortunate about this is that we have to, in any case, purchase the front-end equipment and the back-end equipment in order to run one train. So for us, it's really easy to scale up, because we can scale up to probably even 5 trains without doing additional purchase of the front end and the back end. So you quite easily come to 5 trains, and then when we pass 5 trains, I'm suspecting we'll need additional equipment front and back, but then we're in any case processing 25 tons of coal ash per hour, which is a lot. So we should be possible to afford that. So yeah, super sites, number 1. Okay, so quite easy. CoalMax, that's the company. That's me. That's Truls. I'm the CEO. We're developing a lot of projects for this technology. CoalPhoenix is the name of the investment opportunity to take part in the first super site. And CoalPhoenix is a DAO, which you can invest in as part of the Wolfpack, as part of the wLitiDAO. And that will give you access to 10% of the net revenue of the first site. And that's forever. So as long as we run that site, and even if it's 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 trains, it's the same investment sum we're looking for now, which will grant you 10% of that net revenue. So yeah, make it super easy. CoalMax, the company. CoalPhoenix, the investment DAO.
Just to add on to Ketil there, it's not like we are gonna run for 2 or 3 years and then we're out of material. I mean, if we are running 10, 11 trains, could maybe processing around 300,000-400,000 ton of coal ash per year. And some of these sites, we are talking maybe 100 million tons or more on some of these larger sites. So it's the waste or the material, access to the material is close to unlimited.
And also it makes a lot of sense that a lot of these sites, which today are coal power plants, they are set up with a pretty nice railroad coming in and out. And that for us is a really nice opportunity in the future to transport coal ash to the sites where we've built the super site. So it will be cheaper for us to get additional coal ash coming to the site than building another site.
That makes sense.
So did you guys know that like the second biggest waste stream on Earth is coal ash? I didn't know. First time I was told, I was like, what? We got to do something about this.
Yeah, I didn't know that till you guys told me that not too long ago. It's definitely pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like it's gonna decline any significantly anytime soon. So I can tell you what I'm hoping and what I'm really keen on achieving, and that's minimum of 10 years. Because this problem is not going away, and the coal ash is not going anywhere, and nobody's able to use it to anything else. So my hope and my dream is that we're in like say 6-7 years time, we'll have 10 super sites in the US alone, and we're transporting coal ash to those sites. So I would rather set up like 10 of these than 100 small ones. So hopefully this site will be running for a long time and just consume a lot of coal ash.
Yeah, real quick, it was interesting what you said about setting up where there was some railroads and stuff, because then you have access to that and can just transport it there.
Exactly. And I actually have a cool fun fact as well. I forgot to mention. We have a byproduct from our process, a third stream coming out of our plant. And we're quite lucky because that's clean water. So basically, what we do is a lot of this coal ash, you can find it in piles, but the more common way to store it is you mix it with water and you have it in these coal ponds, basically mixed with water. Now, what we need to run our process is that we need to have a mixture of 50-50 water coal ash. So we can actually suck up this toxic water with the coal ash and run it through our process. And what comes out in the back end of our process is clean water. And I'm talking clean water. You can drink it, and it's probably far better quality than most rivers you'll find in the US right now. So that's a huge impact as well from having multiple sites, is that you're actually producing a huge amount of water. So what we're hoping to do when we've done the ponds is basically we want to do the piles, and we want to suck up water from rivers nearby, hopefully toxic rivers which are polluted, and then we can actually process that water and clean it and ship it back into the river, and through that actually not just clean up the environment but turn it around. So
yeah, there's definitely not a shortage of polluted rivers in West Virginia and Pennsylvania. I read a couple weeks ago that Pennsylvania has like 7,000 miles of polluted river. Just crazy.
And that's so scary. And I mean, both Truls and I, we've grown up and we live in Norway, and we're just so fortunate with clean water and clean air, and it's easy to take for granted. So that's like one of the things that really woke me up as well when I started traveling a lot and saw how bad it is around the world. I guess that put me on the track to try to find technologies that can change things. So yeah.
For sure, that's awesome. So, with the fundraising that you guys are currently doing, what's your current goals as far as funding allocation, and what do you guys plan on doing with that funding when you get it?
So right now we're in target of getting 6 million US. So there's 2 plus 2 plus 2, like we call it. But in total, it's a figure of 6 million US, approximately what we're looking at. And with those money, we're going to build, well, actually, we already started building, but we want to secure funding enough that we are fully funded and we can build one complete unit right now and get that deployed to the first super site. And then through that money, we'll also be able to order the 5 additional trains and get that going as well. So we have the rig ready, and but we need that initial capital to get going with the first site. So yeah, it's basically equipment, personnel, and project development. Yeah, quite straightforward. We'll also do some screening of key suppliers for refining the final stage of the end products. So we'll spend some money on that. That's not a lot, but that's like lab testing with the key suppliers. But what's fortunate is that once we have the first site up and running, we're hoping to run with the 5 shifts of 3 people. So basically that's 15 people to run the first site. And it doesn't matter if you have 1 or at least 1 to 5 or 4 trains. I'll expect us to be running with almost the same manpower. So we're going to create jobs, but we're going to do it slowly, and we're going to do it gradually so we don't overspend. So yeah, but as I said, the number 1 is of course to procure the site and get that up. We'll need some local contractors to build on site as well. We'll get some equipment from Europe, and we'll procure off-the-shelf solutions equipment in the US.
Awesome, that's great to hear, guys. Yeah, so anybody can ask questions at this point. Feel free to jump in if you've got any questions that you'd like answered. You know, this is an exclusive opportunity for you guys to ask questions first and foremost. So.
And if you just want to see my dog again, I can pull him up as well. So anything goes.
Yeah, Alice was saying that there was a wolf at the door earlier whenever you were letting him in.
Yeah, I can lean over. So I'm as fortunate. I had a friend that lived with some wild wolves, and he took this picture of. They call her the snow angel because I'm not able to zoom in now, but if you look between her eyes, you can actually see like a snow angel, the ones you make in the snow. So yeah, I've for some weird reason there's a lot of wolf stuff in my life. My last name Ulving means actually wolf in Norwegian. So yeah, there's wolves everywhere.
Huh. It's crazy.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Riley could get a LCD screen and make you an NFT like that you could hang in your office, right, Riley?
Of course.
Hey, I got a question. So North Carolina and then up to West Virginia, that's going to be beautiful country. You're going to love that. Did you plan on going anywhere else after West Virginia?
I think we'll find what we're looking for in West Virginia.
Great answer. I'm glad that you're saving the best for last. Just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
no, we have great contacts in North Carolina, but I wanna get this to the epicenter of coal as fast as possible, and that's for me that's West Virginia. That's yeah. And for me as well, it's super important to give value back to those communities and create jobs and show that there's a lot of value for a community as a whole in helping deploy this technology. And looking at the history and the status quo of a lot of these coal communities, I think it's the perfect place to start.
I agree 100%. Thank you so much.
Here's an interesting question coming in from Great T. He said, what is the materials recovered per ton of coal ash?
Okay, hold on. I wish I could share this slide with you, but so basically it depends where you are. So like oil and gas, coal, when you pull it off out of the ground, it's created from the environment which has been basically made. So what we're seeing is that from a ton of coal ash, you will see that probably in the range of 20 to 25% is alumina. You have 40 to 50%, which is silica sand. And then you can have 4 to maybe even 12%, which is iron oxide. So the majority is silica sand, the product I mentioned where you can use to make glass, or yeah, like a glass blower, he loves his silica sand. And then, so that's the majority, but I mean, even up to 1/4 of that ton is actually alumina. So, and then way smaller fractions are iron oxide. Did that answer the question? Hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Great T. If you have any other questions like that, feel free to drop them in chat, and we'll answer them.
I can just say I see his question on the screen there, and he's talking a little about the price as well. When Ketil was mentioning 350 per ton, that was for the alumina in particular. So that's not for all the materials. So there's various prices for the three various waste streams, not waste streams, but the three valuables we are recovering. So around 350 and above for the alumina, around $50 for the silica sand, and I don't remember the iron oxide. Kjetil, you have it in front of you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to share again. It annoys me that I'm not able to. Hold on, I have
Wait,
to try.
I think you are sharing now.
I am.
Just
So
seeing,
what do you see? You see, I have several screens. So
Yeah, we're also dropping it in chat too for people to see.
you see it now, or?
Yeah.
it's just loading, so it's not showing anything. But real quick, I just threw
I can see it on the chat.
Yeah, I threw 2 of the screenshots into the chat.
Okay. Oh yeah. So you did that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You're a little quicker than me. I don't know,
Yeah,
Elias, you're from the area around Morgantown, is that correct?
Yeah, that's where I am right now. Born and raised.
Yeah. Because
And then,
when we were talking about the figures earlier on today, I said there's plenty of upside potential in the figures as well. Because if you use Morgantown as an example, the content of alumina, silicon sand, and iron oxide is relatively a lot higher than, for instance, what we have used in our model. So, and there's been doing a lot of studies on the content of the coal ash from the various sites or the larger sites over the last years. So we are very confident that we're gonna get it out.
yeah.
Excellent. As
So-
a very, very smart Jewish friend of mine who's a billionaire used to tell me all the time, Elias, I don't need the practice, I need the money. So I think we should go wherever makes the most sense. So thank you for doing your due diligence, Truls. I knew you would be on top of that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and then-
I'm glad you said that. Thanks.
And then Morgantown is where I was born and raised and lived for about 19 years before I came down to Texas.
Okay. Yeah.
It really is a special place in so many aspects.
So Great T asked a follow-up question. He asked, so we talked about a $75 cost per ton of ash. If the recovery is 25%, that would mean that you would need 4 tons to get 1 ton of materials, which is about $300. Were you talking about $75 cost on ton being per coal ash or per material?
Per coal ash.
It's correct what Great T is writing, and it was a little unprecise that what Riley, I think, wrote in the text. He said around 350, or he said something about the profit. That's not correct. The profit will be in the area of, give me 2 seconds. So Great T is on top of the game, which we like. The potential profit per ton will be from about 83, a little uneven number, and up towards $230, $240. And the huge spread there is due to how much price can we get for the silica sand and the iron oxide, and again, how much content will we actually achieve from the three, or from the alumina, silica sand, and iron oxide. So on the low side, 83 in profit, and on the high side, $200 plus.
So what decides how much you get paid is the purity. So basically, like alumina, if you're able to create 99% purity alumina, you get the biggest bang for the buck. Now, if you're only able to create 95, it drops quite significantly. And the same goes for silica sand, where I mentioned the range from what you can sell it for is from even as low as $50 to $350. So again, it depends on the how refined we're able to make it, and we can make it as refined as possible, but it's becomes quite soon a matter of cost versus how much cash you get in. So we will need to deploy additional equipment, and for every stage we add, we refine it more and more. But you can only pull that so far, so it doesn't make sense to have like 10 multiple units after each other to go from 98 to 99%, if that's the case. So we have confident that we'll get 99% on the alumina. We'll try with a lower grade on the silica sand in the beginning, and we'll see how much additional equipment will we need to deploy to get the refined rating even higher, and how much will that give us. So that's going to be an exercise we'll be doing with the first site, is we'll send a lot of our silica sand to lab analysis and see how refined is it, how much will it take to get the next grade of refinement, and will we get the better bang for the buck. But yeah, so that's it. But in any case, even with the like Truls said, even with the worst case scenario, we're in the potential profit of per ton of $83, which we think is great to clean up toxic waste.
Yeah, absolutely. Great T followed that up with how much energy part on the cost to make this. As energy is the most volatile cost, how is that reference to the present and forward looking? In other words, what's the energy cost in production?
So it's a good question, and just to give you a benchmark, process 2 tons of bauxite, which is what you need today in order to create 1 ton of alumina, you would use 1.25 megawatts of power. For us to process 5 tons of coal ash in order to create 1 ton of alumina, we will use 0.025 megawatt. So we're really, really low on power consumption, and we've been able to set up a very clean, good process with a low power consumption. This has been very important for us, because you have to be able to deploy this anywhere where there's even small or not even that good of a grid up and running, because yeah, you want to clean up a lot of places. So, but what's another, just to add to that great question, Great T, what you perhaps also want to ask is how much CO2 emissions do we produce, and what's the equivalent for alumina? So if you go back to that 2 tons of bauxite that creates 1 ton of alumina, doing that process, you create 1.6 tons of CO2. Now in our process, we have 0, because we already use something that's been through the process, that's been harvested. and we don't emit any CO2 in the process because we don't use excessive heat or burning. So that's a cool fun fact as well, addition to the water. So that depends on how many trains we have. So if you have one train and you want to run that 24/7, but maybe you have you run it for 10 hours, that's 50 ton. You run it for 20 hours, that's 100 tons. And maybe you'll have a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of low. But say that you can run, I'd say 100 tons in 24 hours.
Yeah, so about 35, 36, maybe up to 40,000 per year for one unit. Like, yeah, take 100 ton per day.
So that's one. So if you have 10 units standing next to each other, you can add a 0 to that. So pretty cool.
If I may, to Great Tea, which has a very good eye in regards of the profit or whatever, which was a little unclear there. Remember that the CoalPhoenix should be more considered about what happens on the income or the top line side. So you guys are getting paid from what we are processing on the top of the spreadsheet, not on the profit side. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, because it's 10% of the revenue, and not
Correct.
10% of profit. If
Not
it's 10%
10% of
profit, it's
Yeah.
the net of everything. But since it's 10% of revenue, that means that anytime you guys
Yeah.
make money, then it goes to the
Yes.
DAO.
Yeah, correct. So it's a difference there, which is favoring you guys. I mean, if we are not able to make money, hopefully we have to survive. But I mean, if we are losing some of the profit on the way down through the spreadsheet, that shouldn't affect you guys. So.
Yeah, and from that perspective, that's kind of a rare opportunity. You don't really hear too often about opportunities to invest in companies or projects where you get revenue sharing instead of profit sharing.
Correct. And when we talked, or Kjetil said the worst case scenario, with just to put that in context, the $83 per ton, call it worst case scenario, that's what we actually use in our model, which you guys are going to see in the white paper. If we go on the other side of that scale, where we have 200 something per ton, the spreadsheet is going to just, the chart is going to blow away, so to speak. So we are cautious on what we are predicting on the profit side, but there's room for margin there, definitely, which is good for everybody.
So last time we spoke, actually Elias had a great question, and I feel it's worthwhile repeating it, because he asked, what do you guys fear the most from other companies? Who are you the most afraid of? Who should fear you the most? And for me, I've always been attracted to disruptive technologies, and the reason for that is I love change. And what's gonna be the most disrupted by us, I believe, are the bauxite mining in Brazil and Australia, which today are creating a lot of alumina in a very toxic, environmental, nasty way. They will definitely feel the disruption. And then who I'm not that afraid of, who we would actually in the first instance think that should fear us, are the coal power industry. Because if you look upon the setting in the world today, where there's a huge drive for new solutions for energy, but they're not really catching on because most of them are intermittent, like solar and wind. You need that base load. And right now, in most of the biggest energy consuming countries in the world, that base load can only be covered by coal. So they're pretty safe for now. But all of these coal companies, they want to create in the future as well a value for coal. They want to still make money. And that's something I find very beautiful with this technology and going to coal country in the US, because you'll come to a company which is threatened by the new green change in the world, but sitting on their sides is something they look upon as waste, a huge problem. But by getting to know us, that waste will turn into something very valuable. So the coal companies will be incentivized to not just clean up, but they'll be incentivized to create jobs and bring back the communities, and actually see that they could afford to shut down toxic coal power plants, because they will make a lot of money from these huge piles sitting around. So I really like that mix. It's something rare in business.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two questions. Elias said, seems to me $83 per ton and 100 tons per train per day. At 20 hours, it's making just over 8K per day. 10% of that is going back to the DAO. When will those payouts happen? Quarterly, monthly, annually?
So we're decided quarterly so far. It makes the most sense from a accounting perspective, and also to keep track of it. So quarterly.
Awesome. And then Great T followed that up with who is or could be your competitor on this technology? As it is a very profitable venture, would it not be a problem midterm?
Okay, so on the competitor side, we've been doing a lot of screening and monitoring, and so far we haven't seen anybody else who are able to break these bonds we talked about, these bonds that are harder than diamonds. We know that you can break these bonds in laboratory environments, but it demands such an insane amount of energy that it just wouldn't be cost efficient to do it on coal ash. So on the competitor side, I guess we're competing with companies that use the coal ash today for landfills and other stuff, but I don't really see that as competition. Yeah, and on the product end side, of course, we're going to be competing with the big alumina companies in the world, and we hope to be a thorn in their side and really hit them hard. And then, yeah, silica sand and iron oxide, there are more or less commodities that will go into a massive, huge waste stream as well, or a product stream as well. So, yeah, I think that's it. As of the second half, I said it's a very profitable venture. Would it not be a problem midterm? I'm not sure I understand that question.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure either. Great T, can you elaborate on that? So what you're saying, Kjetil, is when it comes to the production processing, you currently don't see, you're not aware of any competitors in the market. Is this correct?
Nope.
I think
Nope.
I think one of the closest things that I've seen is people trying to do it chemically, but they haven't really had that much success with it.
No.
And they're getting like all these grants and stuff like that to kind of try to figure out how to do it, but they still haven't been able to do anything successful with it, is what it seems like.
You can do it chemically, but what happens is that your alumina or your silica sand comes out with a pretty strange and messed up chemical bond structure, which you then will need to clean up again afterwards, which again will cause you to have residual waste. So yeah, it's like I said, you'll use a lot of chemicals, and it's going to be very expensive.
Gotcha. So I think Great T is kind of reaching at the idea of if this technology is easily implementable for you guys and scalable, what's stopping competitors from going and essentially doing the same thing?
So, in my experience, I've been through a journey where I've been in companies where we had filed like 50 to 150 patents every month. Until now, recently in other companies where we don't file patents anymore. Now, we have chosen that last strategy because The greatest risk of being copied and build your own competition is basically through the patenting process. So we have deliberately selected to not patent anything. We have a black box strategy, and we have secured the technology in various ways, which I don't want to go into right now, which ensures that if even like an entire plant for some reason was stolen, like grabbed overnight, not that that's possible, but say it was, and it fell in the hands of the greatest engineers on earth, they wouldn't be able to reverse engineer it. They would be able to copy and build it, but they would not be able to run it. Yeah, that's as far as I can go.
So in other words, you guys have proprietary stopgaps in the technology to prevent any kind of theft.
No, so we do not have proprietary rights because we do not patent, but we have safety mechanisms that ensures us that you would need, yeah, well, I can't go into details on that because that will give leads. But yeah, we feel very confident.
So it basically sounds like not everything happens on site.
Maybe.
Well, that's awesome. Cool. So, yeah, so you guys are one of the first projects that we have launching through our Launchpad system and going through our environment. With the way it stands, this is an interesting new concept as far as how to use crypto. Is to use it more as a direct line of capital raise and accountability to those companies that are doing those capital raises than the traditional crowdfunding styles that we've seen in the past, which is really interesting.
Yeah. And you know, our number one goal is not to make a lot of money on this. I'll be honest with that. And I shouldn't probably say that out loud because we want you guys to invest in this and make a lot of money yourself. But our number one goal is global adoption of this. Because, like I said, this is the second biggest waste stream on Earth. And right now, we're not handling it. We're not doing anything about it. We're putting it in landfills. We're dumping it in the waters. It leaks into air. It pollutes, and it pollutes everywhere because it gets spread. So mass adoption and scalability that's our number one and number two. And the best tool in my world to do that, and that's crypto, because you can get a lot of investors. And in my experience, a happy investor in crypto on the other side of the world, he will talk very energized about this new project he invested in. And we really hope that that will happen with this project. We really hope it will catch on so that a year or two from now, we'll get phone calls from India, we'll get phone calls from China, Brazil, everywhere where coal is a problem for your local community. Because this technology should be deployed worldwide. And that's our number one.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you guys are implementing a technology that's designed to add a solution to an existing industry instead of trying to inherently destroy that industry outright. A lot of times when we see eco-friendly solutions, it usually requires the elimination of certain industries like coal burning and those kinds of things. So it's very interesting that you guys are taking the approach of trying to add a cleaner, greener solution to the coal process.
Yeah, because I mean, just look at it. I mean, let's take an example of a coal town in the US. And then overnight, suddenly that whole coal plant is replaced by solar or wind. What you basically have is a huge area covered with the technology that doesn't create any jobs. So you'll end up having no people being able to make any money whatsoever. So I strongly believe that the green solutions should be the best for business for everybody involved. And with that hypothesis, you have to look at the existing structure and adapt to that. And I believe that CoalMax is a good way to do it. So because you'll take care of the people that would otherwise be not having a job anymore. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, so it is the top of the hour. It's 2 p.m. CST.
Oh,
Hmm.
I have a hard stop. Sorry.
I think we'll probably go ahead and start wrapping things up. Is there anything that you guys want to talk about or mention? Just to kind of sum things up or finish things out. Also, Riley, if you have anything, or Upgrade, if you have anything, feel free to join in.
I don't think I have anything specific, but thanks for hopping on, introducing yourselves, and kind of letting everybody who's in the DAO see what kind of projects we're starting to get going through the launchpad and insurance and certifications.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully here soon I'll be looking forward to having a follow-up that we'll be able to do at some point. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but that would definitely be fun to do.
Sounds fun.
We have.
So thanks, guys. Thanks for giving us part of your time, and I hope you felt the energy like we do. We're energized about this.
For sure. So we're going to go ahead and, the Shuttle and Trolls are currently in the Discord. They've been keeping an eye on things and communicating with us on there. So if you guys have any additional questions that didn't get asked, or if you're watching the recording of this and you have questions about CoalPhoenix that you'd like to have asked, go ahead and ask those in the Wolfpack. And I'm sure that if they, we'll either reach out to them directly, or we might see them poke in there from time to time. So.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye.
Hey, thank you guys so much. See you guys
Thank you
later.
too.